behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Palm Mash TV. Palm Mash TV.
Well, hello there. It's Paul Mash TV time again. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a great interview coming up shortly. But before we begin, don't forget about the subscribe button and bell buttons below you there, and you're always going to get notified of any new episodes coming your way. And leave a comment on the comment section if you like. We'd love to hear from you. And pay attention to the description part because it's going to have contact info, and contact info will be there again at the closing credits at the end of the show. So hope you'll stay tuned for that. From Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada today, we have Carla Bonnell, and she's really talented, and I think you're really going to love her. And we'll get to that in a second, but first there's a quick word from the Caden Gordon Show, so don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
The Caden Gordon Show. Today's best country mix is a 2-hour show playing independent and mainstream country music you know and love. Be sure to check it out at thecadengordonshow.com for more information on the show.
Okay, we're back, and with us from Fredericton, New Brunswick, we have Carla Bonnell with us today. Thanks for joining us, Carla.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no problem. We're glad to have you here, and we're joined by what's your name again?
Rick Bartlett.
Brett Bartlett. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how did it get to be the story behind you getting into music? I mean, I'm sure you always loved music since you were beginning, and that's what you wanted to do. Maybe you fell into it later, but go ahead and tell us a little story about that.
Well, my dad, for one, was a professional musician, and in order to spend any time with him, when I did go see him in BC, which we were talking about off camera earlier, I wanted to have something in common with him. I didn't get to meet him till I was 14. And then when I was a little bit older and went out to visit with him in British Columbia, he was playing his gigs. The only way they would let me go with him, because I was underage, is if I sat on the stage with him so he could guard me against any alcoholic beverages that might be floating around. So I kind of got the bug that way because I loved seeing what he was doing and the fever in the band that they had, you know, just that high that they got. So I said, well, I'm going to do a little bit more music than I was probably even planning on doing. So that's kind of how I got my start. What about you?
I seen the Beatles in that cellar when I was 4 years old, and that was it for me. I had to be a musician. I wanted to be a Beatle.
Yeah, that's what it takes for most people, you know. Just watch the Beatles. I want to be a musician, you know. Well, obviously that was an influence for you. Did you have any others? And by the way, did you have any influences as well?
Yeah, well, yes. I'm a huge Yes fan and progressive rock. The old Genesis, Peter Gabriel. Other than the Beatles, those are my huge influences.
Okay, well,
and myself, I did have a lot of influences too, especially when I was young growing up. But the big one for me, like under the age of 10 years old, was Stompin' Tom Connors, who was very iconic Canadian. And I learned all my provinces through his songs, and he was a great storyteller. So he really got me into this the story through music. Like, so I guess you could say kind of folk genre. And then as I got older, I started developing more of a broad taste, you know. I'd started getting loving Waylon Jennings, started, you know, like April Wine, and branching out into all kinds of genres and finding my favorites in those.
Yeah, you know, those are great people, you know, like you mentioned Genesis. I mean, even the old Genesis where Peter Gabriel was the lead singer and then Phil Collins later. I mean, and a couple of other ones you mentioned. Yeah, I loved all those bands you mentioned. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how we can find you, especially on streaming sites if you had that? Are you on social media? Do you have an official site? Go ahead and tell everybody about that.
Okay, well, to find Engage, it can be a little bit tricky. We are going to move the name Engage to Engage 2.0 as soon as possible, due to the fact there's a lot of other Engages out there. Our webpage is engagemakeitso.com. And if you don't know already, Engage is a big Star Trek thing with me because I love Captain Picard from The Next Generation. So that's kind of where that and to engaging music. So we're on every streaming platform. You can hear our last album right on the webpage. So if you go to Engage Make It So, all of our social media is on there, newsletter, everything is right central to that. And you can find where you to stream the music as well, because we got more stuff coming up soon.
Okay, we'll go to your favorite streaming site and get Engage, and or is it Engage Make It So? I don't know how you.
Yeah, engagemakeitso.com.
And download that stuff. I know they would really love you for that, and I'm sure it'll keep you up to date on all their concerts as well. But anyway, we're getting ready to watch this video. Let's see, it's called Hearts and Drive, I think it's called.
Yes.
Hearts and Drive. Sorry. What's the story behind that? Sounds self-explanatory, but maybe there's a deeper meaning to the story. But go ahead and tell us in your own words.
Well, it's kind of a cool thing. I was living in Ontario at the time in 2019, moved back home to my home province of New Brunswick. And I was sitting around thinking like I was getting the songwriting going again. And I was like, I'd like to write a truly Canadian song and kind of combine the eastern part of Canada in the song. That's how Hearts and Drive came about, because I love driving. That's where I get all my inspiration. So I just made up a story in my head of like, what would it be like if, I left somebody behind and I want to get back to them, and let's try to squeeze every iconic Eastern Canadian thing I can in the song. Yeah. And that's how it came to be.
Okay, well, that's a great story, and I love this song, by the way, and everybody out there, you're going to love it too. And we'll get to that in a second. But Carla, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. Come back anytime you want to plug something new. Maybe we'll have it back on sometime.
That would be awesome, because we do have some upcoming music. We're just waiting for its time period to release, and we will be in touch. We really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, well, no problem. And here it is, Hearts and Fire, and it starts right now.
Kick her down.